Okay, so now let's proceed with this video in which we'll be actually discussing about the Golgi apparatus as said earlier. So the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body, whatever you like to call, it is actually comprised of stacks of flattened sacs. Okay, all these flattened sac-like structure, they are just piled up just like pancakes one above the other, and these things, they are actually having some small vesicle like structures. Okay, so you call them as cisternae, and these one are called your vesicles. Now these vesicles actually play a very important role when it comes to about transporting a particular enzyme from one place to another within the cytoplasm or even out of the cell. Okay, so we call that process exocytosis. That's how the vesicles play their important role, and this Golgi body is actually important as it produces a lots of enzymes. They can be any type of enzymes. They can be digestive enzymes, they can be the enzymes which help in formation of carrying out or speeding up the reaction, normal chemical reactions inside the cell. So these type of enzymes are totally produced by the Golgi body. Now actually when we talk about a sperm cell, okay, the acrosome, it has great deal of digesting enzymes, because of which, with the help of which, the sperm is actually able to transmit its nucleus into the ovum. The ovum's wall has to be digested, so over there it plays its most important role. On top of that, it also helps in formation of the inside the ovum, in the egg cell, the formation of the yolk. Okay, formation of yolk also it helps. So we call that process the vitellogenesis. Even when we talk about the production of cell wall, now where does this cell wall and cellulose that comes from? It actually comes from over here. Okay, and this Golgi body in a plant cell is called dictyosomes. It is called dictyosomes. Now when we talk about this Golgi body in plant cell, it is called dictyosomes. The major function is production of your enzymes. Now these are the enzymes actually which found their way, anyhow these digestive enzymes, these vesicle like structures which carried these digestive enzymes, they became the lysosomes. That's how these small tiny creatures or the lysosomes, they were born. Okay, now coming to one most important organelle, that is about your centrosome. Now the centrosome is actually present only in the animal cell. Okay, only in animal cell you will find it. Whenever I talk about centrosome, you will find two tiny structures which are made up of small microtubule like proteins, and these are called centrioles. What are the functions? During the time of cell division, these cell centrioles, they move from one region from where they are exactly located, the other centriole moves to the opposite end. So these regions are actually called the poles of the cell. From one pole to another pole, the centrioles, they migrate, and over there what they do, they start producing aster rays, and from these aster rays the spindle fibers come out, and these spindle fibers are nothing but again they are made up of microtubules, and these spindle fibers, you can say, they are also made up of microtubule like proteins. Microtubule like proteins. We also use the name microtubulin. Now when we talk about these spindle fibers, what exactly happens? The chromosomes, they start sticking to this spindle fibers. They get attached over here. The chromosomes of the cell, once during the cell division, I repeat, only during the cell division you see this, the spindle fibers appear, and this chromosomes, they stick to the spindle fibers through the particular middle portion, that is the centromere. Now question comes, if an animal cell it is present and this is visible only, the action is visible only during the cell division also takes place in the plant cell. If centrioles are not there in the plant cell, then how is the cell division possible? In that case what happens? No centrioles are there, these are just empty spaces, and this is actually the mTOR, that is the microtubule organizing regions. Okay, mTOR. These form the poles. And from here the microtubule like structures come out, which are the spindle fibers, and again in the plant cell the chromosomes, they fix themselves. Okay, that's how the centrosome and the centrioles present in the centrosome, they help the cell to carry out the cell division. And again I specify, it is only present in the animal cell. Now coming to the next important cell organelle, that is the plastids. Now plastids, they are actually present in the plant cell, no doubt. They are present in plant cells, and they are again of three types. Okay, one is your chloroplast, which is light sensitive because it contains the green pigment called the chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll actually helps in photosynthesis. We all know that. Next comes about your chromoplast. The chromoplast contains a lot of pigments which impart the color to the fruits and flowers. Next we talk about the leucoplast. Leucoplasts actually, they are colorless, you can say whitish in color, and they are actually responsible for storage of food. So you can say they are food reservoirs. So if there is storage of food, again for storage of food you have three types. One is for your carbohydrates, another one is for your proteins, then you have about your fats. Okay, carbohydrates, proteins and fats. So for carbohydrates, especially when we talk about the carbohydrates, it is actually called amyloplast. It is actually called the amyloplast. For fats, it is called oleoplast. And the leucoplast which store proteins, proteinoplast. That's how it has been categorized. So when we talk about chromoplast, let me tell you, the tomatoes that you see red luscious tomatoes, it is because of lycopene. In fact, many times this question comes that initially when the tomato is raw, it is green in color, but then it becomes red. It is actually the chlorophyll which was initially present, but ultimately it degraded, it degenerated, and this lycopene took its position, and that's why the tomatoes appear red in color. When we talk about the carrots, it is the carotene. The pigment carotene, it gives the orange color. When we talk about blueberries, it is anthocyanins. Okay, so these are the ones which give the blueberries their color. So that's how this entire thing, the plastids, the chloroplast, chlorophyll, green pigment, responsible for photosynthesis. So when we talk about the location of chlorophyll, you have to be very specific, that is mentioning about the chloroplast, and that too in the cytoplasm of plant cell. Function, again photosynthesis. For chromoplast, again in the cytoplasm of the plant cell, imparts colors. It contains colorful pigments which impart color to the fruits and flowers of the plant. And leucoplasts, they are actually the food reservoirs or the storage plastids which store carbohydrates, proteins and fats, and each type of plastid has got its own name: amyloplast, proteinoplast and oleoplast. So I hope this part is also clear to you. Done. Now coming to one most important thing, that is the vacuole. Vacuole is actually large and centrally located. Again I repeat, large and centrally located means right at the center, a huge one. And this one is actually seen in case of a plant cell. But when we talk about the animal cell, in over there, they are very small in size. Very small. So the basic role and significance is seen in case of a plant cell. Now the outer covering of this plant cell is actually called the tonoplast. The content inside, the fluid content inside the vacuole is called your cell sap. Even we use the term tonoplasm sometimes. So the cell sap concentration is very important, and depending upon the cell sap concentration, the plant will either absorb a solution which is completely less concentrated so that the concentration is maintained over here. We talk about the endosmosis and exosmosis. It is completely based upon the concentration of the cell sap present in the vacuole. So if the cell sap concentration is very high in comparison to the outer environment, then there will be endosmosis. The fluid will get inside, And if this one is less concentrated than the outer environment, then there will be exosmosis. The contents will come out, and this is called your exosmosis. The cell will become flaccid. Over here it causes turgidity of the cell, plant cell, and this one causes the exosmosis, which causes flaccidity of the plant cell, the process being called as plasmolysis. Then depending upon the usage, we have your food vacuoles, which stores the food and utilized as the food reserve for the times of need. And then there are contractile vacuoles when we talk about the protozoans. Contractile vacuoles, they actually help in maintaining the osmoregulation. Okay, depending upon the outer environment, it helps in maintaining the osmoregulation of that particular cell. Now coming to granules. When we talk about the granules, these granules are present in the cytoplasm itself, no doubt. In plants, they are basically associated with the food, with the storage, the nutrition content. In case of plant, you find the, you can say the starch granules, because starch is the storage form of a polysaccharide that you find generally in the plants. And when we talk about the animal cell, then it is actually the glycogen granules in the cytoplasm. Now after this, we come to the most important part, that is the nucleus. The nucleus always gets a special attention when we talk about the entire cell. So let's see what is it about.